Morning tango. Morning tango. Morning tango.
What's going on YouTube? Today we're breaking down how to get the perfect arrangement for artists or placements. This was a comment left in my most popular video asking for this sort of thing, so I thought I'd just film a video, simplify it and get it out there for you guys. So what I have in front of me now is the loop that I built for this beat, and I also have the drums which I'm going to drag in now. Here's what they sound like together. So I want to show you how to go from an 8-bar loop like this into a full structure, and I'm going to break it down and make it as plain and simple for you guys. So what we're going to start off with is the intro and also the first hook. So we're just going to grab this selection here and we're going to duplicate it out 3 times so it looks a little bit more like this. And for the intro, we're just going to get rid of all the drums. We're going to get rid of everything apart from the main melody, which is this part here. So the hook by name is the catchiest part of the song. It's the part that hooks the listener in, and I would never leave it as it is, but you can. I tend to chop out some of the drums, some of the melodies, just to give it a little bit more movement. So to do this, I like to break my hooks into 2 sections, part A and part B. So for part A, we're going to get rid of the second open hat and also the main kick, and we're going to leave the drums as they are full in the second half. And we're also going to chop out the bass out of all of these, and then we're going to take out 2 of the melodies, and I'm going to choose these 2, so when this part comes in, the melody sounds a lot more full and complete, with also all the drums playing. So altogether, we end up with this. So that is how I would structure my intro and my first hook. Moving on to arguably more of the important parts is the verse, which is where you want to give the artist a lot of space, but also a little bit more detail, so that when they switch up their flow inevitably, or come in with a new idea, it doesn't sound like they're just rapping over the melody. So the way that I do this is I'll copy over the second half of the chorus, and then also the drums to follow, but I'm going to move the drums back a couple of beats to about here, so that way it punches in all at the same time. And I'm going to, for the first part of the verse, I'm going to take out the snare, the 808 and also the kick, so we're left with just really the top drums. So the rule that I go by when I'm structuring my songs is no melody should play more than 3 times. So as you can see, I've highlighted that this one has already played 3 times in a row, so we're not going to play it in this section. And we're also going to get rid of the strings for the background of this part, so now you can see that this is going to be our arrangement with the bass playing. So this is now the first part of our verse, and as for the second bit, we're going to copy over the intro, add the drums in, and we're going to leave it at that. So now that we have the beginning structure of our beat, I'm going to just copy over everything from the start of the first hook up to the end of the verse. And for a little bit of variation in the verse, I'm going to add the 808 back in. Just by doing that, make sure to chop it back so that it all comes in together. And for the second half of the verse, we're just going to come back and bring in the strings. So now that we've done this, we can go back through and select everything from the start of the first hook up to the end of the first verse, bring it back in. I'm actually going to chop this bit out because as you can see up here, we are just about to tick over to 3 minutes, which is too long in my opinion. So we're just going to chop this bit out and we're going to remove the second verse, or the third verse, so we're left with this as our complete song structure. So looking at it right now, it doesn't look too bad, but there are a couple things that I want to address. We go from having full drums to half drums to no drums, and there's no transition in between. So what I like to do is I like to bring in a riser or some sort of transition effect that will help break up the different areas. So as you can see now with the risers, we should be able to go from the hook to the verse pretty seamlessly. It's a subtle change, but it's one that will make a massive difference when it comes to later on listening. Now everything up to this point has been pretty standard. This is how most people would arrange their beats, with the riser, with the verse, the pre-hook, the hook, all that sort of stuff. But we're now going to go into the little finer details that will separate your beats from good to being excellent. So if you remember earlier, I was on about having 2 parts to your hook, the A and the B. We're going to now separate them even more by adding a chop in between both halves. So we're going to come into the drums and we're going to get rid of this part of the 808, and we're also going to cut everything up to the last clap, so that when the last cat plays, it sort of cuts out, the little 808 roll begins, and then we just jump straight back into it. So that sounds a little bit more like this. So as you can hear, it's a very subtle change again, but it is one that will help when you come into listening to it again. It also helps the artist know that the second half is coming, so they don't have to look at the arrangement, look at the waveforms, all of that stuff. They can sort of just tell what's about to happen. So adding chops like these can really help picture what the end result will sound like, but make sure not to add too many, as it'll overcomplicate things and the artist won't be able to catch a flow. One of the last things that I'm going to suggest that you add to your arrangement is a fade, which is very simple to do. I'm going to show you how to do it now. So I already have one preset down here where I just have a fade out, but if I just delete that, all you got to do is go to your master channel, right click and then click create with automation clip, and you don't have to do the whole copy this dot here. You can just, and this is a hint, if you just hold down left shift and then right click, it snaps it to the current digit or the current number that it is set to, so that way you won't have to worry about copy and pasting, and then you can just drag down the last dot to wherever you want it to be. You want to have a complete fade for the outro. Another thing that you can do also, if you don't want to copy this and have a 2-bar chorus or a 16-bar verse or whatever, is use a reference track. If there's a certain song that you think that your beat could go on, or there's a certain set of vocals or whatever, go and download a copy of that song to use as a reference track or listen to it a bunch of times. Note down where all the arrangements are, because some songs might end up having a 24-bar verse, for example, and then you can copy that style and use it in your own productions. But once again, thank you for watching. I'm going to make sure to post more tutorials, as it does help to know that I am helping people out there, especially with my last video, or one of my most popular videos, reaching over 1,000 views, which was my how to mix and master tutorial. Massive thank you to all those that shown love to it. Make sure you subscribe and like the video to let me know that you actually want more of this sort of stuff. And then also let me know down in the comments if there's something you want me to cover in particular, whether that's more mixing, more mastering, more arrangement, more sound design, more melody making, whatever it is. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you again soon.